Welcome to The Bold, and thank you very much for your support. If Mithika Linturi was an agriculture CS in one of the established democracies, then by now he would have had resigned and he would be home. But in Kenya, a parliamentary process, an impeachment process, have to be hatched because it is a scheme to fizzle some cash or some bribe from the accused. Before we delve more into that, humanity has always come first. So guys, I could not do a video on Sunday because after church I got a distress call. The photo you're seeing in your screen there is my sister, my blood sister, ananifuata number 3. She was involved in an accident, hit and run, yesterday, and her condition was not that stable. We are praying for her, and as part of your community, will always be always said humanity first. So kindly support me with anything you can have. Thank you. If William Ruto wanted Mithika Linturi out of cabinet, then he would have done two things. Number one, he would have asked him to resign, or they would have done a cabinet reshuffle way back later. But I want us to look at why the fate at the end of this process, William Ruto must reshuffle Linturi. There is a big political balance on this impeachment, and for the last 1 week, I have been following that impeachment process that was, that impeachment motion that was moved by Jack Wamboka. And I want us to look at this keenly so that really see what we are not being told. There are some 4 factors on table that are going to decide the fate of Linturi, and you'll bear with me. First, let's start with the membership picked in the committee. When Parliament had its sitting and was voting as to whether impeachment motion against the CS should impeachment proceedings should be launched against the CS or not, the House was divided. There are 39 members who said no. There were 149 who voted yes, Linturi has to be impeached, and then others abstained. So only out of 300 and out of 290 MPs, elected MPs, only 188 participated in the House voting. And then the proceedings had to, then when the Parliament okayed the proceedings to go on, 11-member committee was formed. And when this was formed, Kenya Kwanza picked the members of the coalition who did not support impeachment motion against Linturi. In fact, they picked those who were supporting Linturi. And as you can see, Samuel Chepkonga, Ainabgoi MP, Njeri Maina, Kirinyaga Women Rep, Naomi Wako, Marsabit, George Murugara, Tharakanithi, Moses Injendi, and Kasim Tangaza Maturga. All of this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All of the 6 members were supporting Linturi. Now, if you look at the opposition side, they picked those who were against Linturi. Then they took one from Jubilee, which is Rachel Nyamai, Kiteto South, and that is Rachel Nyamal, and that is believed to be still with UUDA side. So even from the picking of the membership, the end game was already there. that we have to pick those who support. So, and that's why you see Jack Wamboka was saying, do you expect a different outcome if those who have been picked by UDA as the representative in that committee already were siding with Linturi? If you remember Jack Wamboka asking that question, now that is what he was talking about.
Thank you. We still have some time. I will leave after this. I don't see the need to continue being here. Voting lines are so clear. Specifically on the rulings you made this morning, I had given myself to this committee, committed myself to this committee until the two rulings you made this morning, which was so clear. So clear. If you can look at your benches, the members on the other side are leaving one by one. We will leave you to decide with the Kenyans. We will leave Kenyans to you, Kenyan farmers. Certain.
Number two, the critical witnesses that were dropped. If the committee last night, on Friday, that is on Thursday night, they were last minute retreating to a boardroom to make a decision as to whether the Patel, KEL CEO and PS Rono should be admitted to testify on Ruto's impeachment case. And the majority got their way. The UDA got their way by stopping those two witnesses from testifying. Let me tell you, if you look at the witnesses that Jack Wamboka had, he had farmers. Now these farmers, they are just wailing, they're just complainants. To me, they don't have evidence against the CS. The only thing they have is that, and what they're only telling the house is that we got fake fertilizer. As to whether Linturi, how Linturi's direct involvement in the fake fertilizer, the farmers down there cannot explain. I don't know we are getting that context. Wamboka can only get the farmers, and the farmers can only complain, but they cannot have a tangible evidence against the CS. Those who would have a pinned down evidence against the CS was PS, and that's your Patel. Let me play for you a video of Patel when the way he explained how the state, he was harassed until he was taken to State House to, you know, to accept, take responsibility for the fake fertilizer.
Linturi, National Cereals and Produce Board Managing Director Joseph Kimote and other NCPB officials repeatedly coerced its Chief Operations Officer Devesh Patel to carry the cross of the fake fertilizer scandal and compensate affected farmers. KEL Chemicals claims that threats and intimidation from the senior government officials went on for more than a week, starting 4th April when NCP boss Joseph Kimote called KEL Chief Operations Officer Devesh Patel. In the 9:45 a.m. phone call, KEL Chemicals alleges Kimote asked Patel to prepare a letter addressing the recalling of 3,000 KEL bags that were allegedly carrying fake fertilizer by the NCPB. The fertilizer production company claims that the alleged coercion did not end there. 3 days later, That is on the 7th of April. The company says that its COO was called more than 30 times in an hour by Kimote, Ngetich, and another official by the name John Matiri, who is the general manager of NCPB. The letter alleges that Matiri wanted Patel to call for a press conference and issue a statement in which KEL will not only assume full responsibility for fake fertilizer, but also announce KEL's intention to compensate farmers. Interestingly, the letter says the press statement was not to be prepared by Patel or KEL, as it was sent to the COO via WhatsApp by NCPB boss Kimote. Patel's job was just to read it. But Patel dealt the press conference a wide berth, saying that DCI officers had raided the Thika-based company and seized fertilizer bags on that same day. 3 days later, Agriculture CS Linturi is said to have called Patel himself to ask him to call the press conference at a hotel in Nairobi.
Now this is the video why Patel could not be allowed there, because he was going to implicate the state machineries in this scandal, and that has been the thing, by the way. And so, number two, I understood that the forces that stopped the two from testifying were like, was PS Rono going to testify against the CS, or he was coming to defend the CS? But remember, Jack Wamboka had told the committee that the PS was even ready to testify. As to whether he was going to testify supporting or against would be something. But Jack Wamboka also ought to have known that to the last hour, he can come and defend the CS. Now, then the third issue, which is the most contentious thing in this case, is this impeachment proceeding have a potential of ending Mithika Linturi's political career. Do you know, if Mithika Linturi is impeached, he will not be viable for any appointment as ambassador and will not even seek an elective seat in 2027. And if you want to know why impeachment is not a very good thing, then you need to ask the two gentlemen, Mike Sonko and Ferdinand Waitito. If you are impeached, you'll have to sit out for 10 years. Now we are in 2024. That means 10 years will be when? It will be sometime way back. Even if they get a reprieve, he cannot vie in 2027, cannot serve an elective seat. If you are impeached, you are doomed. You are actually condemned to take any public office. You are banned from taking any public office, I think, for some time. So that is also, impeachment is a career-threatening thing for the cabinet. And that is the route that William Ruto will fear most. Because if someone will say that if Linturi is impeached, then Linturi will retreat in Meru and start campaigning to be governor, forget about it. If Linturi is impeached, he will go back to the benches just like Waititu and Mike Sonko. And in fact, he will turn as a William Ruto rebel moving forward. So that is another balance that really gave William Ruto a bit of a challenge. Now, what has also emerged is Ruto then has taken over Linturi's impeachment case even as the committee retreats to write their report. Because, remember, out of the 7 charges that Linturi is facing, he must not be found guilty in all. Even if he is found guilty in one, it will be debated. If the committee passes one, you know, the committee can try to squash all those charges against Linturi. But if they can substantiate one, then it is subjected to debate in parliament. Then after that debate, MPs will retreat, will then vote, subjected to a vote. Then that is where things will turn. And William Ruto knows, if Linturi impeachment is allowed to get to the level of voting, then it will be difficult to save Linturi's case, because the MPs will likely vote to protect the image of the farmers. Because especially there are those who come from farming areas that have been actually taking this case as a political tool to try to show their farmers that we care for them. So they would go there and vote no and take photos. Find a way they confirm they voted no, so that they go back to the vote and said that as we tried to protect you, and that is why we impeached Linturi. So he knows that, because there is also the politics of perception that is playing out here. I understand that the committee was supposed to go and sit in Naivasha to write their report, but do you know a decision was made last minute for them to retreat to a Mombasa Road hotel, which I think is fine. There is no need of going to waste taxpayers' money in a posh hotel in Naivasha. Well, at the end of the day, you guys just know very well that the decision, even before you go to write that report, you know how it will end. Ahmed Nasir, one of the veteran lawyers, is saying that billions and millions have been tabled on table to save Linturi. Rigathi Gachagua is also in a scheme to rally Mount Kenya leaders to save Linturi from the chopping board, and it would be part of his accolades on "I defended our people." Remember, Rigathi Gachagua has been a leader that has come out defending Mount Kenya. So we'll use this opportunity to rally these MPs, and the next day he'll be in Mount Kenya telling the MPs the way he lobbied the MPs secretly to support Linturi. You remember during the ASC when the former Kenyan member of parliament was vying. So those are the things that is looking at, and this Linturi impeachment have a chance of splitting UDA in the middle, because while all agree that he has to be impeached, but the political tables, the political cards are on table. The motion, even if it survives, even if Linturi survives or not, but it has created a big damage on his character. He's been assassinated. Look at the way he was paraded before an 11-member committee with all the cameras pointing at him. You see the way lawyers were even bullying him, telling him, look at me directly. I looked at that proceedings and I was saying, imagine that was Moses Kuria. Just try to put Moses Kuria where Linturi was. Hey, Linturi will not have really, Moses Kuria will not have really survived it. And the cabinet is so cautious on this. And that's why I am seeing a cabinet reshuffle as the only tool available for William Ruto to save the Linturi. And I think if Ruto wanted to impeach Linturi, I am still repeating this, he would not have taken impeachment. Impeachment was a process to make it look like, they've taken it. And remember, opposition, if Linturi is impeached on this, opposition will get a perceptional win on how Raila troops successfully managed to impeach Ruto cabinet. If that will be it, if he knows he doesn't want Linturi, he'll tell Linturi to resign. And tell Linturi either resign or face impeachment. And I know that one Linturi will face to resign, because if you resign, very well, you still vie. Just go with the heads up, try it, maybe this happened. In fact, sometimes I think leaders just fear because of, the benefits with having an office. But if you resign, you've been absolved from the blame. You're absolved. Don't even wait to be removed. Why reshuffle is in the offing? I think Linturi has to be pushed to a more invisible ministry. A ministry that is not going to put him in the limelight. A ministry is like mining. It's not in the limelight. Pushed to East African community something, Semiarid or something. Or where look at what happened to Moses Kuria. Moses Kuria was moved from trade and industrialization to some ministry, I've never known it. I don't know, public service or something. So that is what will also be number. Number two, Linturi's survival is, if he survives, it is going to show William Ruto's weak stand on corruption. Remember, this is one of the corruption cases that has dragged for long. It has really been here for quite some time. And if Linturi is going to survive, he will survive under the blessings of President Ruto. And that will remind the country that William Ruto is not strong on corruption. Lastly, I see the complicated Mount Kenya equation in cabinet. Apart from Linturi holding that position in his capacity, there is also a feeling that he holds it for people of Meru. And that is in the power sharing deal that William Ruto is sitting with. So he knows that at whichever point, an impeachment will complicate it. And I can tell you, a reshuffle is in the offing. Thank you.